good. Levels is good. Let's hone it in. Let's bring it in. You know what we're doing here, man. MIC Podcast, episode 92, community content. You get it all here. And today I am with an entrepreneur, an event coordinator, a host. She wears many hats. Ladies and gentlemen, Sydney, aka Niplids, however, you may know her. What's going on?
Hi, what's up, guys?
Chilling. It's good to have you. Just because, we've had many members of your artist talk cohort, just come through here, speak on the event, speak on you. They were just showering you with praise all types of way, honestly. So it's really, really great to, put a face to, all those good words. Definitely. Yo, no.
I love all those guys.
No, facts or not. They love you too, yo. So just to jump into it for real, like where in the city are you from? If you're from Pittsburgh or Richard.
I'm from East Liberty, if you're not from here. But
yeah, no, that's like literally like I lived there for like the first 2-3 months, when I moved here. So yeah. I'm from Maryland originally.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Walda.
You said what? No.
All right, sorry.
That may not be yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Cultural dialects, right? Yeah.
Just kidding. I love y'all, Baltimore.
Nah, yeah, that's what I was saying. You might be talking to someone from Baltimore there. So you spent pretty much all your life in East Lib?
No.
Okay.
I'm from East Liberty. I moved in probably like sixth grade.
Okay.
I moved around a lot, so I went to like 7 different schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
For
but I'm from there.
damn. So I mean, like, how was that growing up? You're just like kind of like uprooting all those times.
It was interesting. I think it's made me very adaptable and kind of a chameleon. Pittsburgh's a very like clicked up place, and I feel like I don't necessarily have a clique. I kind of bounce around to everybody. So I mean, above everything, I feel like the big positive was it made me adaptable. But it was a lot, I think, when I was younger, because it was like, I would make friends, I would move, I'd make friends,
right.
But now, I mean, I could pretty much walk anywhere in the city and it's one person.
It's kind of like, you want some stability as a child, but then like as you get older, you kind of look back and be like, damn, I guess, those just kind of give me skills to, navigate some of the shit like I'm doing now, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
It's easier to see the positives once you went through the experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
For sure.
So just fast forwarding, at what point just, in your life did you really start to actively, just kind of take care of your mental health, would you say?
Oh, Lord. Actively take care of my mental health. Well, I went to therapy like pretty young, partially because like we were always moving around. And that was like hard for me to adapt to at first. So I went to see like a lot of like school counselors. And then I found out that's a way to get out of class.
Facts, right? Yeah.
I went there more often than not. Pretty much any chance that I could get, because I was going to a lot of new schools. I didn't really know anybody, so that was kind of like my safe haven. So I got pretty comfortable talking about my emotions and like how I was feeling and things like that pretty early. And I felt like I always kind of related more to like my teachers or like mentors or older people easier than I did people my age.
Yeah.
So I would say like probably around that time, which was like about 6th grade, I started seeing like different therapists or school counselors. But I think like as an adult, really like when I started Artist Talk,
okay,
I felt like it kind of made me have to stand on what I was talking about and preaching. I'm a fixer. And I like to take care of everybody else but myself.
Facts, yeah.
I'm also a Capricorn. So
that may play into the
all of everything and like not being able to like have everything like to perfection. Like when Mike was like, "Let me help you," I was like, "No, let me do it myself."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's like very much my personality. But I think once I started doing Artist Talk, like that's when I really got into like finding a therapist that I like.
Right.
Not just having a therapist.
Right. Yeah. Like, I was even gonna say from the 6th grade point to like, like whenever you started up with the artist talk, like
Mhm.
was that gap just pretty much because like life was getting in the way, like you just maybe didn't have time for therapy, or like were you going to therapy like kind of in between then? I mean, like I know it's like a long time ago, sixth grade, up until now, but like
I think for me, like therapy was very like reaction based, which like I'm totally opposite now and like totally have a different mindset. I don't think you should wait until something triggers you or some type of trauma to happen to get into therapy. But that's very much what my experience was getting into it initially.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I feel like during that time it just wasn't my focus.
yeah,
Like
sure.
I was like kind of in my groove. I just started Niplets like when I was, I don't know, like 22, 23. I was in like somewhat of a healthy relationship, or what I thought was a healthy relationship at that time. I had a good job. I was working at the bank. So like, nothing really like made me think that I needed to be in
Sure, right.
therapy. So throughout that time, I mean, like, I
tried
guess
doing
my
your thing.
friends and my family were kind of like my therapy, but I wasn't
That's good.
actively in it through that time.
Okay, true. So, just really kind of getting back into it. How did the ways that you deal with mental unclarity, kind of evolve from, just your first memory of therapy, until now?
Um, I think like my first initial experience with therapy was kind of like forced. It was like you're in a new school, you should go see the counselor, until you get adjusted, and kind of just helping me like cope and adapt through that. I think now it's like it's very much like you said, it's very active for me. It's very like, okay, I want to be doing this work. Like I'll talk to my therapist and I'm like, what are different exercises I could be doing, or homework, or like something for me to research. So it's something exciting for me because it's like I look at it more of like my journey of like growth now, rather than it being like, oh, this thing like happened to me or triggered me.
Okay,
I
yeah,
need to like get through it or overcome it.
facts.
Now it's just like, how do I do that on a daily basis? And in just a healthy way, to where like if something like that were to happen, it wouldn't throw me off my square, and I would just know how to cope or deal with it. Just like in real time.
Yeah,
So I think, how did it evolve? I think just getting more comfortable with like using those strategies and
facts.
exercising my mind to where I'm like, okay, this thing is happening. How do I feel? Do I need to react to it? Is it okay for me to just feel these feelings and not react to it? Or, it's different. It's a different mindset for me. And
Yeah,
it's a different mental process of dealing with things.
Yeah,
Coping with things.
and you just like approach things in like different ways, I can imagine, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I'm pretty dramatic. Yeah, I'm pretty dramatic. I'm pretty I have a lot of emotions and I'm very vocal. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw myself in.
Yeah. No, I feel it.
Yeah, so it's just helped me to like slow down
Sure.
a lot.
Yeah.
Not just be like, oh my God, this is happening. Like I said, it's just more like, okay, let me step back and really like take inventory and assess the situation.
Facts. What was the process of just finding a therapist that fits you? Like, did you have to go through a couple? Was it like a first, like, like once you found them?
Yes. So my process of finding a therapist was very interesting because I think one of the things that I like to address in Artist Talk, but also like something that I personally went through, was when I found a therapist, I just thought you had to be happy with who you got.
Okay.
Especially because I feel like a lot of the therapists that I got were situational.
What you mean by that?
So like something would happen and I'd be like, oh, I need a therapist right now.
Right.
Like I need somebody to talk to. I need to figure this out so like I can move on with my life. So like I was very open to just taking whomever gave me that opportunity to vent or to, learn how to deal with certain things that were going on. So I was just cool with whoever. I think like once I started Artist Talk, I was like, okay, let me take this a little bit more seriously. I ended up partnering with Still Smiling because during COVID, the Heinz Endowment put out a grant for artists to be able to get well, not artists, just people in general, to get up to 12 free therapy sessions that they had a grant.
Wow.
So I was one of those grantees for that. So once I got that grant, it was more like, okay, I don't have to worry about like the money side of it or anything else. So I found Still Smiling, who the grant was through, and they prioritize like Black therapists.
Nice.
And connecting people of color with like a BIPOC therapist.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, cool. And when I talked to Miss Robin, who's like basically like the intake person or like the first step in the process, she was like, hey, like these are the therapists. If you don't like them, it's like dating. Like fill it out, see if you like them. If you don't, we'll put you with somebody else. And she really stressed that. And I think that was the first time I opened up my mind to like, okay, let me do this where I felt like more in charge of the process rather than just being in the back seat.
Sure.
So yeah, that made me take the process a little bit more serious. It made me kind of take more inventory of like who I'm talking to. If I felt like they were speaking to, you know, what I needed in that particular stage in life or phase. But also they had a very like, rigorous is not the word because that sounds negative, but like they had a very like intentional
like
and thorough process of like, what do you want your therapist to specialize in? What are some things that like areas you want to work in your life, like shadow work?
Okay.
A lot of stuff like that. So when they were also looking for me or matching me with a therapist, they kept a lot of those things in mind. And I had never went through that process before when I thought about like, is it like family issues that I have? Is it more like body image? Is it self-esteem? Like I never had even thought about identifying like what those specific things were. I just was like, I would like to talk to somebody about all this stuff that's going on and hopefully we can identify it together. But they really like put the ball in your court and make you do some work first. Also to make sure that you're ready for a therapist. A lot of people say they want one, but they're not ready to do that work necessarily, or they don't know how to do that work. So they kind of made you jump in first.
Yeah. No, I mean, that sounds great just because, you know, just like for like some of like the mental health apps, they like, you know, like to personalize and like, you know, and like it's one thing if it's like, you know, through an app, you can see how the person, you know, the personalization can, you know, get in there. But with, as far as like finding an in-face person-to-person therapist and like they're just whittling down, okay, what do you like, what areas do you need, you know, focus in? Like, I don't think I really heard like, you know, like a therapy pairing, you know, patient process like that. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty wild.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, I think at first I honestly I was a little resistant to it because it's like I feel like I'm doing all this work and I don't even have a therapist.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, because I mean, I think part of me was just like, I hope it's worth it.
Right, exactly.
So, but I really enjoyed that. I think it really did. It made me have some skin in the game, and it made me make sure that I was ready for that step.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
No, like I'm sure like that you just even benefit you, you know, just so much, and like I'm sure like you saw the benefits.
No, 100%.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I was like, I think it made me walk into that experience more confident.
Sure, yeah.
And also, like I said, because I had some skin in the game, I think that it made me just take it more seriously overall. Yeah.
So fast forward, or just like, you know, at what point did you start setting up events like Artist Talk?
Ooh, when did I start setting up events like Artist Talk? Well, that's a great question because I feel like all this stuff started before Artist Talk.
Yeah, facts.
So me, my friend Bilal, this guy Lum, who's a rapper, and Claire Kent, we used to be in this like little group. It was called Tribe Eternal. It wasn't little. We were in this big group. But yeah, I did spoken word, and we used to have these events. They got a space in East Liberty, near the Get-Go over there, or on Melwood. But anyways, we had this event space, and we were brainstorming for it, trying to figure out what type of events we were gonna have, blah blah blah. And I think like in those brainstorming sessions was kind of when I started thinking about like throwing my own events, or that it was possible to do other events But yeah, we were just kind of sitting around like, oh yeah, like what are we gonna name this? And I was like, oh, what if it was called Writing on the Wall? And then somebody came up with like, oh, we should do this engaging activity, and we should have these vendors, and we should have these artists. So I think just being in that collective and being around other artists inspired me to kind of start doing it on my own. And it took some time before I even got into that. But I knew that I was capable of doing it because of working with those artists.
What were you doing in the Tribe Eternal Collective? Because that's like the first I've heard of that, like with you and Claire and like, you know, those other artists. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was I doing like as far as like what in the group?
Yeah.
I was
It's like,
spoken word.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but like, what was like the collective? Like, what did y'all like? What was the one goal?
Performances.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, music.
Okay.
Yep.
So like would y'all like set up performances like for each other, or like would y'all go to venues like as a collective?
They had a venue.
Okay.
On Melwood. I don't know if that's Oakland or East Liberty.
Yeah, no,
It's like on the
I
cusp.
think
in the
Melwood
middle.
is
It's off of
Oakland.
Bond Boulevard. But
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah,
it's
facts.
not even there anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would just have we would set up we'd set up like shows at the space. So like they would get different performers to come in. I remember Benji performed there, Uptown Woods. There were a lot of like artists that are developed and way bigger now.
Sure.
But that was like the beginning stages when we were all babies.
That's crazy.
But yeah, just set up different performances. I mean, I would set up my Niplets table. That was one of the first places I vended for Niplets. That's actually where I came up with the name of Niplets.
Okay,
With
word.
Elam and Claire and Bilal were sitting around and talking about that too. I was like, I got these nipple printed hats. I don't know what to call them. And Lum started rapping and was joking around. He's like, sit with the Niplets. And I was like, yo, that's hard. So, shout out to Lum.
That's crazy.
But yeah, so we just had like these little artist parties.
Okay,
People would
word.
come, you would get painted. We had airbrushers. You can Wavy Wednesday used to sell her art there. Trying to figure out how many people I can name drop and just shout out because everybody was doing their thing back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had like painters. I mean, everything you could think about creatively.
Yeah.
We had Poetry Slam. Fu Underwood used to throw stuff there. He's a big name and heavy hitter in the poetry scene here. So it was really just artist hub.
Yeah, facts. How did y'all link up initially?
Me and Bilal, I've known him since like kindergarten.
Okay.
So we both went to Friendship Academy.
Okay, word.
But we grew up together, and then I just met everybody else through him.
Okay, just do that.
Lum was like his good friend for like a while, and then Clara, I think, knew Bilal or Lum previous to, but my connection was Bilal. And
Okay.
yeah, we actually got some music together before Tribe Eternal, and he's the one who like kind of put that confidence in me to be like, no, just try it. And I'm like, all right, let's record it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that sounds good.
Do you still make music?
So I still do spoken word.
Okay.
For me, mostly in my journal. But yeah, I still write a lot of poetry. Not anything that I've recorded.
Okay.
But that is one of like my secret things that like I do want to like unravel in myself at some point as a creative. Like it's always been on the back burner, but it's something that I really like love to do, but just haven't really built up the confidence to like step back out and do it again. Yeah, I think once you're in that groove, it's like, you know, you have the momentum, but once you stop, it's like, it's hard to get back on stage or perform in front of people. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I had no idea. But yeah, just again, you know, just kind of rewind the clock. So when you were, you know, first setting up events, you like you kind of had like the vague idea for like, you know, Artist Talk when you were in that, you know, collective.
Yeah.
What did, and so did you set up events prior to Artist Talk? Like, you know, like with just you and like.
I used to like curate like artists to come and do pop-ups outside of like Red Fishbowl Gallery. So I would like hit up a couple artists that I liked and be like, hey, let's all do this together, or set up different art markets. But yeah, I mean, I've always been like a connector. I think that's my like superpower.
Nice.
Is in my purpose. So like Daily Bread used to drop clothes, and I'd be like, yo, let me get like 5 of my friends that model together and rent out a hotel room and do a photo shoot, and I'll give you the photos and you pay for this.
Nice, yeah.
Little things like that.
It's like
But as
hustling.
far as, I just like connecting people, and I have ideas and visions in my head, and I'm like, okay, cool, let me put this together.
I got you.
But yeah, niplets, like little pop-up shops and vendor markets, things like that. But other than that, no, not like big. Or you know what? I did make love at the Mattress Factory. So
Oh, dope. Okay.
the year
I've never been there.
before, it's a dope museum.
Yeah, no, like, so I've heard, like, I really want to go, but
Yeah. So me and Zach Rudder had a show. It was called Make Love. I had created this film with him, a short film with him, where I made some of my artwork live, where I paint my body and print it onto canvases in a private studio with a private audience. And the video was titled Naked or Nude, because it was to kind of like a play on perspective of how people interpreted like your nude body printing. So we wanted to air that, and we kind of sat on that for like 2 years. And then he had some artwork that he wanted to collaborate on together. So I was like, okay, well, like, let's turn it into an event. So I hit up the Mattress Factory. We got another marketing company to sponsor some things. Zach got people to donate some things, like as far as alcohol, food. Chef Claudia came and did the food. Shout out to Chef Claudia. That's my boy. He always supports all my events. But yeah, that was the first big event, and we sold a lot of tickets for that.
no, that sounds dope.
We sold a lot of tickets. We rented out the museum. We got it fully sponsored.
Nice.
And then I was like, oh, okay.
You pretty much did like the majority of the legwork for that. Like, did you have any help? Like, did the collective help you, or did you have to outsource?
No, I mean, yeah, I did a lot of the legwork. Another one of my superpowers is getting sponsors.
Okay, word.
If I can get in a room with you and explain what my vision is, I can get people pretty excited about like what we're doing. And yeah, I have a lot of energy, and I don't do things unless I'm passionate about it. So if I can get people in on the vision and to listen to me, I can pretty much get them to sign on. So yeah, I got a lot of people to sponsor the show, alcohol, food, the venue, just different things like that. You'd be surprised what people will give you if you just ask.
Damn, yeah. Honestly, though, like, you know, like, closed mouths do not get fed, you know? So you definitely gotta, you know, open up. But like, I definitely do want to get back to, you know, the Niplets brand for sure, you know?
Okay.
Like I definitely want to circle back to that. But so, you know, after that, you know, first event that you...
Artist talk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Facts, right? So after that first event that you set up, like, what did that first iteration of, you know, Artist Talk look like? And why did you, like, want to create that safe space for creatives specifically?
Wow, those are 2 really big loaded questions. Okay, let's start with the first one. How was the first... Wait, can you repeat the first one again?
Yeah, like,
Sorry,
what
I
did...
got nervous.
No, you're all good. Like, what did the first iteration of Artist Talk look like?
Yeah, so the first Artist Talk was November 20th. I remember like it was yesterday, my baby. The first Artist Talk was, how did the idea come to mind? So initially, me and my friends were just hanging out, and we were talking about different things that were going on, artist problems and things like that. And it ended up being like a vent session. But what was going on during this venting session was everybody was working on their own artwork at the same time. And we were all like a spectrum of different types of artists. So I was like, damn, can I cuss?
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
No, yeah.
So
Like, I think we've cussed like 18 times already. Yeah.
I was like, all of us are artists in like different fields, but it sounds like we're all going through the same thing. Now, I was living in LA at the time.
Okay.
So I'm back and forth between here and LA. And I'm like, all the artists in LA is going through this too. So it's not like just a local thing. Like, it's a mental health crisis, right? Everybody's going through these things. Where's the support? So I got a group of my friends together, and I was like, hey, how would you like to like get up on stage and talk about your mental health and help me host these conversations about the stuff that we're talking about? Because it's great for us. I have great friends. I have a great family and support system. And that's a blessing. But what about everybody else that maybe doesn't have friends or family here? It was COVID. Things were hard.
Were people open to being that vulnerable? Like, just getting up on stage and just saying, hey, here's everything that's wrong with me?
When I asked them to.
Yeah, man.
But I think a big part of that as well was creating that environment.
Exactly.
So it was like, hey, this is what the initiative is for this. And this is what I think it's going to do and impact people, or how it's going to impact people. And I have a lot of friends that I think would really benefit from this conversation and hearing it, and they would like to come, but they're not the type that would get up on stage and talk about this stuff. But I think if you do, it'll open up the conversation for us, and I think it would be a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
And I got 6 friends to jump on that bandwagon with me. Sierra Sellers, PK DeLay, Yosh, trying to think, Josiah Council, the homie. Who else was in that show? Patient from Plea Project. I feel like I'm forgetting one. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to all y'all that were at the first artist talk. So
crazy.
we sold like 20 tickets on Eventbrite. I went in the bathroom to do my makeup. The show was about to start, and I didn't have time to do it at home before. I came outside, and there were like 70 people in the room. It was at Opia Studios in Southside. It's this photography studio that's like on this back street on Sydney Street.
Okay.
So I didn't know what to expect, but I was like, you know what? It's just going to be a super intimate conversation with us 20, you know, whatever.
150 people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I came out and was like, oh, this is happening.
Yeah, right.
And literally almost ugly cried, but I just did my makeup, so I held it together.
Yeah.
But I was just like.
So you were just fully expecting 20 then, but then like double that, you know, like plus.
People came at the door. My friend came to like help me just set things up. She ended up being at the door taking like money because we didn't think more people were gonna come, or getting their tickets and stuff like that, like checking people in. She's like, do you want me to like do this? Because like people are asking like where they pay. Hope for the Day was also like a really big part of that event. They are a nonprofit that work with artists. They started during Warped Tour, going on artist tour bus.
Warped Tour.
To give them.
Heard that.
It's like a punk rock tour. I worked at Journey.
Okay,
for, like,
word. Okay.
6 years.
I definitely copped some of my favorite dots from Journeys.
Shout out to Journey.
Definitely copped my docs from Journeys along with some great graphic socks.
Yeah, that 40% discount was hitting in high school.
Yeah, word. Come on now. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I partner with them because I don't have a mental health background.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I can speak for artists
experiences
based on what I've been told and what I've experienced. But I thought it was very important to have healthcare professionals there.
Sure.
To lead those conversations.
Absolutely, yeah.
And also like be a part of the conversation in case anybody was triggered or something were to happen, or that I wasn't able to facilitate.
No, that's smart.
Yeah. So, and I do that at every event. I never really lead the conversations. We bring in like a therapist or a nonprofit or organization that is specialized and certified in facilitating those conversations.
Sure. So, I mean, and shout out to all of that. And, you know, again, just a big shout out to everyone who even initially, you know, got up on that stage and was like, you know, vulnerable. Like, again, that opened the door for everything that's even possible.
Oh, my God.
You know, today, I mean, not for like, that's huge, man. I'm
still just shocked that today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, man, you know, definitely shout out to, you know, to y'all. So, again, why creative specifically? I know, like, you know, like that was like the crew you were hanging around, you know what I mean? But like, why did you want to create that safe space for creators specifically?
Well, for me, like I said, I think it was like when I was trying to find a therapist, I think it took me like 18 months, like a ridiculous amount of time. And it was like me sitting on the phone with people like sobbing and being like, I need a therapist now. What do you mean I'm on like a 8-month waiting list? You know what I mean? But like I said, I saw a lot of my friends going through that as well. So it's a personal struggle that I went through that I can relate to, that kind of like ignited this fire in me. And I was like, you know what, if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. And then also just seeing people that I really love and care about struggle and not have any type of relief was just very like disheartening for me and very frustrating. And it frustrated me to the point where I did something. So yeah, I think artists specifically for that reason, and also because there's all these different categories of like mental health that go into everybody else, and there was nothing for artists. And I was just like, okay, y'all gave these like little scraps of change from the government for artists relieved, but there was no, you can't sell artwork on the side of the street if there's nobody outside to buy it. And there was no like housing relief or food relief or just like anything specific for those people, but it was for corporate.
Yeah,
and it was for, you know, other things that would have been deemed like not artistry. So a lot of people think that artists, like that's their their second job and they have this. And that's true sometimes because I worked at the bank during the majority of my artistry. But some people, that's their livelihood.
That's why, and like I wouldn't say like the art that they put out is their second. Like that's really is their first job. But like you have bills and like you have to eat. You know what I mean? So like you have to get a second. Like you have to get a real, actual, however you want to categorize it, just something that like can bring you money to survive.
100%.
Because if you can't survive, you can't create.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you won't even be in the space mentally or physically, like, to create. And it's ironic that like you're saying like, corporate America gets these spaces and like pretty much everyone else is like, they're thinking about how to create a mental health structure just for like, help for these people.
Yeah.
When creatives literally are some of the most, like, they have gone through so much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of trauma goes into the art that they put out. Like, no matter what lane you're in, singing, painting, whatever, that's kind of where you channel a lot of that energy from, is from like, how did I feel about this moment in my life? Or like, how can I translate how I felt at that moment to connect with someone else who's maybe felt that similar thing but didn't go through that similar thing, but like has maybe felt it at some point in life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think, a lot of artists go through a lot of things. And yeah, I think at some point, like, you do sometimes have to like compromise or sacrifice your artistry for adulting. And it's unfortunate. I mean, I feel like we'd all be artists if we didn't, right? Create and do whatever. But yeah, and that's why I wanted to create a safe space too, where through a lot of the grants we get to pay these artists for their time. I think that's something that really messes up artists' mental health, is not being paid and not feeling like they're not an artist because they're not being paid or they don't check off these certain boxes. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
No, facts. And what has been like a common thread that you've seen creatives just struggle with throughout the sessions that you've had? Or like, what's like the one common thing that like you've seen them voice that like maybe you ain't even think they had to deal with?
That's a great question. I feel like everybody's so individual.
Facts, yeah.
So it's hard to like group everybody in the box when it comes to mental health. I would definitely say being paid for their work is definitely a big one. I would say like the lack of support. I think there's a lot of people make it seem like there's certain processes that are super simple and they just hand them to artists, specifically Black artists, and they're like, here, do this. And they're like, it's easy, just do it. And they don't know how to do it. So it makes them feel like incompetent or like they're not capable of doing these things. Like when I first filled out my first grant, they're like, oh yeah, fill out this grant. And it's like 30 questions that are like SAT questions that they ask you the same question 5 different ways, 5 different times. And it's like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
Like, and I got frustrated and I gave up a couple of times. I think it took me like 8 months to fill out this application when like there are certain organizations that'll help you do this or that will help facilitate it. How will we know about them? We're not in the loop. If you're not in these certain circles or you're not, this person that somebody deems worthy of help, then you're not, sorry, you're going to have to figure it out yourself. And most likely, like, unless you have time and energy to put into that process, which we normally don't because we're working a job or multiple jobs, trying to take care of our families or trying to just do normal things with our lives, then you're not going to be a beneficiary of it. So I think those are 2 things that really came up. It was getting paid for your work and then just having some type of support or help through these processes to be better. Because all these artists want to be better.
Yeah, right.
All these artists want to access these resources. It's not a matter of them not wanting it or not having enough energy or tenacity or persistence or consistency. They're torn down by these processes and these systems. So this is a system that will make it easier and give them that support and give them that love and also teach them how to cope with these things while they're going through that.
That's beautiful. That's dope. No, for real.
We can cuss. No.
Yeah, no. That's I mean, like, more power to that shit. And just from like, everything like, Mike just told me from those events, that like it really sounds like you are well on your way to creating that space at large for, you know, these artists, especially here in the city. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm sure you have plans to expound this.
Yeah, we had an event in Philly. We already expanded.
Facts. No. I definitely peeped. Yeah, the Eventbrite tickets for Philly too. So like, you know, definitely listen, if you're in Philly, you know, you're watching this, definitely tap in. That should be super dope. And just even speaking to Mike, like I know you've you know, chopped it up with him at you know, these just silly things. Yeah, you know, just slightly, right?
I know, Mike.
So from your perspective, right, from the first session to now, how is he grown and developed?
Ooh, hot seat, right? We about to talk about him.
Yeah, no, like, you know, and just, you know, and this, you know, once you like, you know, get to him, it's like even some of the, you know, other core members too.
I mean, I feel like everybody's grown. How has Mike grown specifically? I think Mike asks a lot of questions, which I love about Mike. He's just like, if he's curious about something, and he just always has so much energy. He's like, well, what's this? Or what's this mean? And how does this work? And how will I know? And da-da-da-da-da-da. I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Mike. Okay, cool. All right. But, yeah, I think just, I don't know one specific area, but I think, like, seeing his curiosity. Actually, I will say a couple areas. I think him supporting the other artists in the group means a lot. I've heard a lot of people say that, like, he's been at things or supported them. So
Yes.
I really love that. I think the cohort has really become like a family in a
And I can feel it. I can feel it.
Yeah, I'll look at something on their page or something, and then the whole cohort is at one
Absolutely, yeah,
person's show
yeah.
supporting them. So like they all show up for each other.
Yeah,
Like in the group chat and our emails, people are throwing flyers in, but like not only are they throwing those flyers in, like everybody's showing up to them.
yeah, right.
Like I went to Words and Sounds, and I walked in and like six people from the cohort out of 9 artists were there. I was like, oh, what was my invite?
Yeah,
I came to see Mike because I thought he was performing, and then there was like 3 other people performing and singing. So I was like, okay, y'all.
I think you came like
Fire
after,
with it.
because like you would usually go first and like, you know, like, doing those things. So like I think you probably came after you performed. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, so just the support system. But also, like, I've just seen Mike just dropping a lot of stuff. I mean, I didn't really follow him too much before the cohort, and I went through the applications, but
Mm.
I just see him consistently dropping stuff, coming up with new ideas. I know he just performed with a band, just being curious and kind of stepping out. And I think, like, when you have that support system, that's one of the things that you grow from having a group that's going to support you. Those wild ideas that you're like, oh, yeah, I don't know if I should do this or if I can do this. When you got 8 or 9 people being like, nah, do it.
Hell
Like,
yeah,
or show up
yeah,
and support you.
like,
I mean, you're more likely.
It'll just put the battery in your back, just
Yeah.
those 8 people being
Right.
like, yeah, fuck it. Like, you know, like, let's see.
And that's a
Right.
crowd.
Yeah, no, facts, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And like I was even just, I mean, we were even just, you know, speaking about that in the last episode, just like as far as like his consistency, just like his activeness,
Mike
like
got a lot of energy.
he's active, like he's
I might
probably
have
the
met my
most active. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's probably the most active artist in the city, like for real though, like
Yeah,
I think
like,
just from like an activity standpoint.
Listen, I've never met somebody that had energy. Like, I wake up and I'm like, what's up, Instagram? What's up, gang? How you doing? Ew.
Yeah,
And I just wake up like that.
Yeah.
But I'll see Mike and I'm like, I gotta sit down and catch my breath. It's like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
still up, Junior? Like,
Yeah.
let's get it.
facts.
So yeah, I love that.
No, fan. Just like even just, you know, from some of the other members that like, you know, come to your mind, like, you know, like how's it, you know, been watching them
Oh my
They're-
gosh, my baby.
grow.
Erica be killing it.
Shout out to
She
Erica.
has just been like growing, doing shows, doing a lot of music for like, she just did a Broadway, some music for I think the Kelly Strayheart. She's just performing everywhere. And Erica was actually in a cohort with Equity Impact Center. Their program is called Scale, which is one of my mentors. Lee runs that. And she's also a facilitator for therapeutic spaces. But seeing her in both programs and how she was kind of taking off and just as she was doing the work for both of them, like also being consistent with booking things and doing
Yeah.
things and just putting herself out there, was super exciting and was super cool to watch that kind of like the evolution of Erica.
Yeah.
That sounds like a Netflix show.
No, the evolution of Erica.
so-
Dropping fall.
Yeah. So between Erica, Symphony started her own like
Shout out to
production
Symphony, hell
company,
yeah,
like
facts.
doing a lot of stuff. I mean, everybody. Eugene is like working on writing his play. I remember at the beginning of the cohort, he was talking about it. He's been consistently putting work into that. Keywan's been killing it too. He's hosting shows
Nice.
back to back. He's just, being himself, stepping into like who he is as an artist. But like everybody's been just growing. Even Chef Bud, our chef that does all of our food, like seeing him grow from like the first event to do, and he's a private chef. He's also like head chef at a restaurant downtown, but just seeing him like show up and do his thing and like come up with menus and me be a part of that creative process, because I get thrown into all these creative processes that I'm not used to being in. He's like, oh yeah, let's work together and develop a menu. I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody. I mean, even the facilitator, even Dr. Darla. Like, I mean,
Shout out the fuck out.
the cohort, not just the cohort. Like, everybody is growing from this experience. Like, and it's just amazing to see everybody grow.
I mean, I feel like there's the product of a well-ran event, for real. It's like that's hats off to you, for real. So, like, what has just even setting these events up and just going through all the logistics of setting these things up, what has that taught you? It's like about you, or
I think the main thing that I've learned, like as far as like self growth, is like persistence with a lot of these things. Because I think often, like I said, I get kind of thrown into certain processes and I have no idea how they work. Like, I didn't know how to write a sponsorship letter. I didn't know how to create a menu. I didn't know how to put together an event. I didn't know how to lead a team. When Artist Talk first started, it was just me. And then throughout the process, we've had teams as big as 10 people to it being just me again, which it is right now. So just learning how to step into all of these rooms and really be a sponge and listen, and then figure out what those action items are and learn how to do them all. That has been my, like, me personally, is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
That has been my biggest personal growth. I think it's really shown me I am who I say I am. And I think that it's shown me that I can do anything if I apply myself correctly and surround myself with the right people and mentors and things. Because if I don't know anything, I'm texting all my mentors. I'm texting Katina, Lee, Shonda, Dr. Darla. I'm like, hey, I don't know what this means. I don't know how to do this, or I don't know this process. Can you send me a video, or could you send me an article, or could you tell me how you would respond to this, or how should I be approaching this situation? Like, I'm just open to everything. And I think when I first started, I was just so used to Niplets and it just being me running a business. And I was very like, I know how to do this stuff. And then it was like, oh, okay, well, write me a sponsor packet, put this together, send it to the Penguins, send it to the Pirates, create a partnership. What does that partnership look like? I mean, I just partnered with the Pirates for Mental Health Action Day.
Nice.
And just all this stuff is new to me.
Yeah.
It's so exciting, but it's very intimidating.
Yeah,
but I do have a great circle of people around me. So I think out of everything, what has taught me most is like I said, I'm capable.
Oh yeah. No, that's super dope. And even speaking of Niplets, like, you want to touch on the creation of that and just where it came to today?
People are probably bored with this story. Niplets, my godmother, she had breast cancer and she lost all her hair. During that process of her going through chemo, that was really hard for her, and she didn't really feel very like pretty or I guess attractive or just very positive in that sense. So my way to support her was making these nipple printed hats that support breast cancer survivors now, but her at that point. And I was like, oh, here's this hat and it's symbolic of your journey, but it also makes you look cute. So it was just a way to like show her I support her and I love her and I want her to continue with this journey and just give her some positive energy. I'm all about positive energy. And just like giving that to other people. Like if I'm in a really good mood, I'll hop on Instagram and be like, hey y'all, I got some positive energy. Here's some for you.
Yeah, facts.
But yeah, Niplets started because of my godmother, and then she ended up beating breast cancer. And I ended up working with Young Women's Breast Cancer Foundation of Pittsburgh and donating 20% of all the sales back to them.
Wow.
They give money directly to women, not research. And that's why I really love them, because it gets to make an impact on somebody's life right now.
Okay.
That could be gas money, groceries. It could be just like for one of their actual treatments. But right.
Yeah.
So they give like different tiers of things. But that was something that was just another super personal experience that I just felt like, okay, like, what can I do about this? Like, how can I do something now to impact this person's life, which was my godmother at that time. And yeah, that's really important to me. People are really important to me.
Yeah, facts. So, like, how long ago did you start that?
Nibblets, I want to say 2021.
Okay, okay.
No, just kidding. Made that up. 2017.
Oh, okay.
Nibblets was 2021 was Artist Talk.
Got you. No, you're fine. Damn, so like, it's like what, 6 years with Nibblets, and like, you know, how has the business grown since, you know, you started?
Oh man, I mean, when I moved out to LA, that was my bread and butter. I never got a real job in LA.
Wow.
Yeah, I moved out.
It's a lot more than, like, you know, people can say for real. No, for real. Like,
yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised though. I tell people $20 for a t-shirt or a hat here, and they look at you crazy. And then you go to LA, and I tell them $50 for a hat, and they're like, "That's it." And I'm like, "Oh, well, say less."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, but yeah, people are willing to pay for quality stuff that they can relate with. I really took my brand to another level because there was a fashion district there, so I could get better quality things. I met up with some graphic designers. I was able to, you know, just dive more deep into the process and what things look like and the quality of it. So that also contributed to me being able to sell things at a higher amount. But yeah, Nibblets it's been great. I mean, I have like a whole family, I feel like now. Like when I hop on the gram and I'm like, "What's up, gang?" Like people be messaging me back like, "What's up, gang?"
Yeah.
Like, they feel like, you know, this is our community, this is your family. So I feel like it's way past like a brand at this point.
Yeah, right.
Like
a community, yeah.
A community, family, just a lot of different things. But people don't even know my name half the time.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, what's up, Nibblets?"
Yeah, right.
Like, "Hi, I'm Sydney."
Yeah. That's
so,
how it go when the brand is, you know, strong enough.
I love that. I love that. So I'm like, okay, cool. And now it's Artist Talk. They're like, "What's the girl that runs?" You know. So, but my name is Sydney, y'all.
Word.
So, yeah, but I love Nibblets. I mean, that's my firstborn.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna rock with Nibblets. That's for life. People always ask me, "Are you still doing Nibblets?" Always. I'm never gonna stop. Every hat that I do is one of a kind when I print on it with paint. So it's like a snowflake.
Okay, so you literally make each one individual.
So now I have some like trucker hats that just has like our logo on it, with some like different text or quotes or motivational things. That I'll drop here and there, but the majority of Nibblets, yes, they're all one of a kind. I specifically print on them, or I'll work with a breast cancer survivor and we'll do different collections. If we're donating to somebody specifically, I'm also open to that. So if somebody has breast cancer and they want to raise some money, hit your girl up. If I'm not at capacity, I would love to work with you guys. One of my friends hit me up a couple of months ago, and her mom was going through breast cancer, and we put some stuff together to raise money. So totally open to that. I just wanted to throw that out there. But yes, the majority of them are one of my nipples.
That's yeah.
I use the right and left. That's why I said that.
That's hilarious. No, but it just like it really just sounds like that is, like you said, just like a close knit community, like, you know, family, like everyone you work with, like it's just like it's like a real personal and personable experience for real.
People hit me up and will just like tell me the most, like, I bought this Sniplet, and tell me like the most personal stories about either their journey or their family's journey, or like things that they went through, or different trials and tribulations. And I don't even know these people. So like I really honor that somebody feels vulnerable or safe enough to open up and share that story with me. Like that means a lot to me.
It's like, yeah, again, like I agree. Like, and in the encounters I've had with people like that are, you know, just even like, you know, some of these interviews are like, you know, the amount that people are willing to open up. Like, I just go into gratitude, like, yo, thank you for even sharing. Yeah. Like, thank you for even feeling comfortable.
People are ready. I think maybe Pittsburgh doesn't always feel like the safest space to do that. And that's why that was another really big motivator for me when I came back to Pittsburgh from LA. I didn't feel very safe before I moved to LA, but when I came back and I had experience what like some safe spaces felt like, I definitely didn't feel safe in Pittsburgh with my artistry. I just felt like it's very like, sometimes it's like it's clicked up, or I feel like I'm getting judged. And we talked about this in one of our therapy sessions through Therapeutic Spaces. Like, just a lot of like clicks or gatekeeping or people just kind of tearing down your stuff, like as far as like criticism. And we also, that was one of our workshops, like how to properly have people criticize or not criticize, but give constructive feedback and making sure that it's constructive and people are qualified to be giving that to you or have your best interest.
Yo, can you say that last part again?
That people are qualified to be giving it to you in the first place.
It's a whole lot of niggas gatekeeping nothing. You niggas are
look good.
Listen, the gate don't even look good. The gate y'all are standing in front of looks ass, and y'all are gatekeeping it, and it's getting
rusty.
crazy, and it's rusty, and you know what I mean. Like it's cobwebs in the hinges. Relax, because there's nothing behind y'all.
There, though, you know.
But you'll be still, and that validates the dickheads in the front. Like,
you gotta show people what a quality. I want to say gate, but we're not gatekeepers. But when you don't know what a quality situation looks like, of course, a rusty, dusty, cobweb covered gate is gonna look good, and you want to get in because your friends are in there. But then you get in there and it's real dark and cold and lonely.
Facts.
And it's
real
like,
shit.
damn, I fought to get in here.
Real shit.
Yeah, like, and that's a big thing. Is like that's important to me. Like we need to be changing the culture here in a sense of like, why does it not feel safe when we go out? Why are we going to slappers and bangers and staring at each other? Sorry, I had to throw that out there. All right, slappers and bangers is one of my favorite events in Pittsburgh, but like I go to dance or do whatever, and like, cause that's what we supposed to be doing, and they just arms folded, staring at me, and I'm like,
niggas be sentry guns,
let's have a good time. Let's be friends. Like, we all came out with the same goal. Like, we want to be sweaty and dancing.
Bro, niggas, but slappers and beggars be the Secret Service, they think. Just be like, yo.
People do be on the wall staring. And like,
what the fuck is going on? Like,
but, yeah. No, but, yeah, that's a big... I remember posting something on my story. It was like, yo, I'm coming for them gates in Pittsburgh, and I'm kicking them down, and I'm about to create something where people can feel safe and feel like, you know, they could be themselves and really like feel safe to connect with other people with their best interest at heart. And a month later, Artist Talk was born.
Hell yeah. And like, how do you think your journey with Niplids like kind of funneled into the experience of, you know, creating Artist Talk?
In every way. I mean, I'm an artist, so like I can relate to most of the reasons that I can relate to a lot of these conversations, hold these conversations and facilitate them and just really, you know, dig into them how I did. Niplids was the main artistry that I've practiced. So like when we're talking about, sitting on the curb trying to sell your artwork, or not the curb, but you know this stuff.
Yeah, no, facts.
And trying to sell your artwork and not being able to sell it, or stuff not selling during COVID. I mean, or, you know, people not liking your art, that was my art. So, like, that's the whole reason I can't relate in a sense. Like, yes, I've done spoken word and I've done, like, other types of artistry, but that is the main experience I've had as an artist. So that's the whole experience.
Those are back for real, yeah. So it's real quick. I don't know how much time we got left, but it's real quick, right? I know, like, you definitely had experience with grants, writing, you know, like, you know, applying for them, getting them. Yeah, which is like, you know, super, super dope. So just, you know, off the top of your head, if you can, you know, think back, like, what was your most substantial grant that you received? And then how did you know, or like, how did you go about making sure that whatever sum of money was given to you was used in a responsible way, or just like used effectively?
What was the word you used? The most
substantial.
Meaning like the highest amount?
Well, like, yeah, highest amount, and or just like, so yeah. Highest amount for real. And then like how did you know what to do with, you know, that sum of money?
Yeah, sure. The highest amount, that's not hard to think about at all, was the $64,000 from Staunton Farm. That was by far our biggest grant. Our first grant was big though. Our first grant we ever got was $25,000.
Wow.
Normally
that's
people
crazy.
And that was just the first one I ever applied for.
Nuts.
We've only applied for 3 and we've gotten all 3 of them. I've never applied for a grant that I didn't get.
Wow, yes sir. Yes sir.
But yeah, Staunton Farm was the biggest one, and that was after about a year and a half of doing Artist Talk and completely draining my bank account and maxing out credit cards.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest one, and how did I know what to do with it? We were already doing it. You know, it was all the stuff that I was doing with my own money and my own resources. It was just now we have somebody else to fund it. So I think knowing what to do with it the biggest thing that came out of it, where I was like, okay, we have these artist talk events every 3 months. I was like, what if we can turn this into like a 6-month program and really dig into these artists other than it just that one day, and continue these conversations, and the artists be more of the focus rather than the audience. So I mean, that just felt natural.
Facts.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people that did artist talk with me at the beginning, that was all love. All my friends were doing that out the kindness of their heart, because I didn't have it. But they believed in what I was talking about. So it just made sense to just, when we got the majority of the money, that the majority of the money goes to the artist, other than, you know, paying facilitators or venues or like, you know, miscellaneous things that we may need, production. But yeah, my goal was always to pour into the artists and to give back as much as possible when I had the opportunity to. So that was just natural to do once we got that money.
Okay. Did anyone teach you, just like, you know, throughout your life, how to, like, you know, handle high amounts of money like that? Or like, did you just like kind of do your own due diligence? And
Yeah, I mean, I think my dad has always like kind of taught me the importance of money. My first $1,000 I made when I was like 18, he made me give it to him so I can get a secure card and start building my credit. I was
Nice.
the only one at 18 that had a credit card.
Nice. Yeah.
But my first job when I was 18 was also, I worked at the bank, and I've worked at the bank for almost a decade now.
Wow.
So I've worked at different financial institutes.
Okay,
So I've done wealth management, I've done mortgage loans, I've done personal loans, escrow accounts. I've done just like regular customer service positions, what I started out in. So my background is in finance.
Okay.
So I mean, a lot of it made sense to me,
Sure.
but also like no matter what environment or, you know, career you're in, different amount of money it's going to mean different things. There's going to be new terminology you have to learn with that field. So that was just a learning experience that I had to kind of like take on. And like I said, just going into these rooms and really just like being quiet and listening.
Sure.
The 80-20 rule. Like when I
Sure.
talk 20, y'all talk 80% of the time.
Sure. No, that's
But GPAC was a big part of that as well. Like they're my fiscal sponsor, which means like they hold the money for me and they help me manage it and do the bookkeeping.
nice.
So, you know, they've taught me things. They've sat in rooms with me. And then afterwards, you know, I'll just kind of
Broken it down to you, yeah.
nod when we're in the rooms. And then I'd be like, hey, what did we just talk about?
Yeah.
What just happened?
Yeah.
So, you know, they're good at breaking those things down. But like I said, my mentor, like Lee Solomon, is like, she's just an angel. She has really we've had 3-hour strategic planning sessions for like weeks. And then Allison from GPAC and Ash, who used to work with them, we sat in the room. I mean, these are like 5-hour sessions, grant writing. And it's like, I think we did about 5 of them over like 2 months. And then we finished the grant. So when these people tell you these grants are easy, like that's cap. Not me sitting in a room with 3 to 4 people for 5 hours for 5 sessions.
Yeah.
And then them telling you it's easy for one person to do it.
No, facts.
So yeah. Did that answer your question?
No, absolutely. I mean, that's all. And like, I didn't know, like, you know, like you had a background in finance, and
Yeah.
just even kind of going back to what you said earlier, like, do you think, and obviously it's not easy just from with the process that you just laid out, but do you think enough people are utilizing grants for like their own endeavors? Do you think it's like readily available information?
So I agree with the second part. Do I think people are using grants enough? I don't think people know how to access grants. Like I said, I think it's a very elitist process and system. Like I said, unless you have 3 to 4 people that you can pay to sit in these rooms for 5 to 6 hours and do that multiple times, then like you might not have the resources for it. Are they incapable of doing it? No, absolutely not. I mean, there's YouTube, there's other resources, but that's not how I learned, and that's not how I would have came up or been able to do the things that I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I needed people to actually like be there with me. So do I think that they're utilizing them enough? No, but not like at their full.
Yeah, no, sure.
I think that there just needs to be more support. There needs to be more access to these grants. It needs to be more streamlined. I mean, to find grants, it's hard. It's hard. You got to know the right websites and different people to ask. And then when you do ask them, you got to pray and hope that they're going to actually respond to you and help you with it. I mean, I used to ask artists about grants all the time. Like, how'd you get that? And they'd be like, oh, I don't really know if I could talk about it. Why? public information. So like when I was doing my grant sessions, I would invite people, like friends that had nothing to do with my grants. I'd walk into these meetings and I'd be like, oh, this is my assistant. So they could just sit in the room and hear what's going on and see the process, like, and learn. Like, no, they're not my assistant, and they'd act like they were doing stuff. But it's to put you in the room so you can have access to those type of conversations and even start to understand, because it's not going to be in one sitting. But yeah, when you don't have access to those rooms to be consistently learning, because it's not a one session thing, then it's hard. But I mean, I guess I could post some stuff, some more access to grants. We've had a grant workshop. We've had facilitators come in and teach the cohort about grants and how to fill them out and different questions and things like that. So those are more programs and workshops that I want to make available and open to the public moving forward. And that's what that bigger grant is going to be used for.
Well, you are well on your way, Sydney. I think you know the motherfucking game. And I think if anyone wants to learn something, they should watch this episode of the Magic and Creation podcast. But listen, Sydney, thank you so much for joining us. You know, the floor is yours as far as anything you want to plug, you know, where they can find you social media wise. At the next Artist Talk events, the Philly Artist Talk events, plug away. But again, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having me. I mean, if y'all follow me on Instagram, if y'all want to buy a hat, it's Niplid, NIPLID_. If you want to follow us on Instagram for Artist Talk, it's Artist Talk Mental Health. Our website is Artist Talk Mental Health. Our YouTube is Artist Talk Mental Health. So you can find us on all of those things. New programs will be coming up and workshops that will be available in Pittsburgh, and hopefully we're growing in Philly as well with the workshops and the events moving forward after the last Philly event. So yeah, you can find the majority of our information there, and just keep a lookout for us, stay in the loop, and hopefully we'll meet soon.
Oh yeah, listen, Sydney in the motherfucking building, MIC podcast episode 92, community content. You get it all here. And we're out. Yeah.